Okay, our first giveaway is going to be for the person who can correctly identify the first president of the University of the Bahamas.
At the back, Dr. Kevin Bethel.
What did I say? I'm just sorry, but I was clearing my throat. My throat. Something was in my throat. Give me a second, okay? Just give me a second. The first president of the College of the Bahamas. I have to cancel that one. Just cancel it. That's what y'all are saying. New question. Okay, new question. Yeah.
Let's have a duel. We'll give one to Dr. Kevin Bethel, one to Dr. Robbins.
Okay. Who shouted out Dr. Keva Bethel? That was Jackie in the back. Okay, come on up, Jackie. Who shouted out Dr. Smith? Who? Jofi? That was Jofi. Come on down, Jofi. Come on down. Come on down. Come on down. Come on down. Okay. Everyone wins here. Everyone wins. Come on right up. Come on up. Okay.
Both of you are the recipients of a $70 Paint Place gift certificate.
$70 cake. Paint your house. Come.
And we're going to roll right into it. But just before we get started, Lady Whistledown has been listening in. And she sent a little note. It says, "Indeed, accreditation is to a university what a title is to a noble family, an external validation of worth and standing. The faculty may now hold their heads a little higher, knowing their institution has been deemed worthy of its scholarly pursuits. And as for the students, they may now bask in the knowledge that their degrees will carry a certain cachet in society, perhaps even opening doors that might otherwise remain firmly closed. However, one must also wonder, does this newfound accolade come with a hint of vanity? Will the university, in its eagerness to maintain such a prestigious badge, become overly concerned with appearances, forsaking the substance of true academic inquiry? Only time will tell. Dear readers, for now, let us congratulate the university on this noteworthy achievement, while keeping a watchful eye on how it wields its newly polished credentials. Yours truly, Lady Whistledown."
Okay, thank you for that message from Lady Whistledown. It's great. Our UTEP president has, I think he's in the airport or maybe even en route to Grand Bahama. So he will not be speaking to us today, but we have Dr. Nicolette Bethel, who will come and share words with us. Brief words. Very brief words. Give her a chair, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stand here so y'all can see me. Find my light. There we go. Thank you, everybody. I am here to bring remarks on behalf of the Academic Senate, with apologies to Senator Hepburn, who is not an academic senator, but a senator, and nevertheless. Anyway, who has made a different argument. But I just want to say, the University of the Bahamas has an academic senate, which is one of two governing bodies of the university. Under the University of the Bahamas Act, the academic senate is the academic authority of the university. What that means, we're still working out. We are in transition, and we are still building. But it is an elected senate. It has representation from across the university. It also has representation from staff and students as well as faculty. So it is a very interesting, active, and important body. And I have the honor of serving as president for the next 2 years. So thank you very much. And you'll be hearing more from us as the semester goes on. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Bethel, for your very informative and pointed words. At this time, we will engage in our 5th plenary session. The moderator for this session is Dr. Natasha Jones Swan from the Great School of Education. Yeah. And our panelists are Dr. Amin Kabir, sustaining a research-rich university, Dr. Williamson Gustave, building a framework where research thrives, Dr. Narissa Newton, how to improve the UB's research framework, Mrs. Leslie Archer, creating a culture of immediate feedback to create new knowledge, criteria for publication in the journal. Dr. Raymond Owenbring, that was Raymond. Right, Owenbring. Okay, so in these plenary sessions, come on up. Come on up, everyone. We're pressed for time, aren't we? So we are going to try to keep these sessions as tight as possible, and let's try to hit the highlights so that everyone will stay. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy new academic year. I am Dr. Natasha Swan, and I am from the great School of Education. So I'm going to invite the panelists to come and take their seats. And thank you, Dr. Hepburn, for introducing them. We do have 5 esteemed researchers from various schools here at the university. And you can just wave to them so they can know who you are. Dr. Amin Kabir is from the School of Math, Physics, and Technology. Dr. Williamson Gustave is from the School of Chemistry and Environmental Sciences. Dr. Narissa Newton from the great School of Education. And I think I'm missing a panelist. I think maybe, perhaps, but that's okay. Last but not least, we have Dr. Raymond Owenbring, and he's from the School of English. So each of them have their particular topics, and I heard that Dr. Hepburn listed the topics, but should I go ahead and do it again, just for your hearing? And we have 5 minutes. Each of you have 5 minutes, and afterwards we'll engage in a very short session of questions. Okay, so Dr. Amin Kabir is going to present on sustaining a research-rich university. Dr. Williams Gustave will present on building a framework where research thrives. Dr. Narissa Newton presents on how to improve UB's research framework. And Dr. Owenbring presents on criteria for publication in a journal. So we're going to start with Dr. Kabir first. Let's give him a Nice warm round of applause.
I'll go there or just sit? All right, thank you, Dr. Jones, Dr. Sohan, and thank you all to participate in this session. I'll start with a few points that I believe is important to sustain the research here at the universities. The first point or the first component to do research, I believe, is the funding, the availability of the fundings. So there could be two sources of the fundings. One is internal and another is external. Now, as far as the internal funding, because of the teaching-based institution, we know it's a limited funding opportunity. But yet we have one funding which is called UB Research Grant, which is usually called in every year. But that is to be called before the pandemic, but after the pandemic that is being stopped. So my the researchers' recommendation would be to resume that funding, internal research funding, which is actually just $3,000, but yet that is very helpful to continue the research. The other funding, external funding that we get usually from Wilson Family Foundation, which has a cap of $4,000, and they are doing it for several years. And that helps the researchers to continue do research to some extent. The external funding, there are some external funding which is definitely should come from government and some NGOs. But to secure that funding or to know the knowledge of that funding, I believe we need the collaboration with the administrations, with the faculty members, and the people of our the colleagues, those who have the communication, good networking with the government. The next thing, of course, is the proposal writing, especially for the new hires. They quite not sure how to write a proposal which line up with the criteria of the grant that is being called. And for that, we need a collaboration with the senior faculty members, with the junior faculty members, and administration also can help us on this, on those topics. That okay, can your research be written in such a way that you can basically hit the criteria of the grant call. The other topics that I believe is important to sustain the research is the involvement of the students. Now, not every department, every researcher have the same capacity to get the students involved. One way the research can be done is a course-based research, which is the usual case at UB. So that is easier to get the students involved in the research because it is already in the course projects, and the researchers can help the students get involved in that. But some faculties and some schools, they don't have a course-based research course. Project-based research courses. For that, they need to do the independent study, independent research. And for that, of course, they need to write a proposal in such a way that students can volunteer in their research and participate in the research. The other things I would like to mention is the permit thing about the research, which is IRB, Internal Revenue Board, and the DEP, which is Department of Environment Protection and Planning. Now, over the years, I talked to many researchers, and I heard that, and I get the complaint that getting the permission from IRB and DEP is a complicated process, and it kind of blocks the roadway to continue the research. It basically delays the process. The other, so I would definitely appreciate the faculty members who have connection with the DEP and government agencies really to work on that one, so that the process is smooth for the researchers to do the research. The other point I would definitely like to mention is when the fund is secured, then there is a problem to release the fund rapidly or quickly to the researchers. So although the fund is secured, then the researchers complain that they have not enough, good access or the quick access to the fund, and that delay the process. So those are few things I believe should be really taken care. The other point I would like to mention that there is to be a student research symposium that had been held before every year, and I would like the administration to think about that one, to resume that one. In that way, students really can present, can be skilled in presentation, communication, will be helpful for the research purpose. One last point I would like to mention, which is the faculty members should be encouraged to maintain their research profile through the LinkedIn, the ResearchGate, and other like Google Scholar, and that way it should be visible to students, to all the faculty members, and they can really collaborate each other to get to know where who would be the right person to talk to or take help from them. I believe I kind of mentioned almost everything. The last one, of course, one point I would like to mention is where is the motivation coming from the researchers? So especially there is no really financial benefit. So to really keep the researchers' motivation alive, we need a little assistance from the administration, from our deans, and like if I have a fund and I need like few $100s to really get the equipment purchased, if that is matched or is assisted by the Department of Administration, that definitely will be encouraging and will motivate the researchers to continue the research. So with that, I think I mentioned that I wanted to mention. The rest probably will go to our other panelists.
I think we can take one question if there's a question for Dr. Kabir. No questions? Okay. Perhaps at the end then, okay? All right.
Thank you, Dr. Swan. Good afternoon, everyone. I think Dr. Kabir would have covered the majority of the points, but my focus is on how we're going to sustain research at the university. And I think the first step that needs to be done is to establish a culture of research at the university. And the way we can do that is to encourage collaboration among one another, and not only within the same department, but across different disciplines. Because while it may be easier for someone that is doing work, let's say in soils, to get stuff done at the University of the Bahamas, but you can change the title a bit and include a colleague that is a social scientist and look at the perspective approach of that. And if we work together in that manner, we'll create a culture where everyone will get a taste of the pie. And now that everyone is doing research, the university also have its part to play. Because when we do research, it's literally one box on the end of year report that we tick. And it's not really that difficult to tick other choices under that same title to get that same recognition. We should definitely aim to make or to promote research in a way where the faculty who is doing research get more benefit from doing this research. Because if I choose to teach an extra course, I definitely get benefit for that. But if I choose to spend 40 hours a week doing research, all I do is tick one box out of the 3 other categories that I have. And I think once we take an approach where we provide more benefits to that, more individuals will do that. So that's one of my points. The other point is that we need to build capacity. For years, we've always been a teaching university. And then one day we decided that we're going to become an R1 university. And you can't go from being teaching to R1 overnight. You have to somehow have mentorship programs. Not only these mentorship programs are going to benefit those of us who have become excellent teachers, but haven't been doing research for a while, it's also going to benefit us new faculty who want to do research but have no idea of the research culture or where to even apply for funds here locally. And that will build it. And the last point I'm going to make is that we need to have a long vision for research. We need to encourage the building of these different institutions within the institute that will sustain long-term research. And we need to do proper succession planning so that when one individual leaves a particular spot, that the same vision is continued on so that it doesn't disappear when that individual who started leaves. That's it I would want to add.
Good afternoon. In the words of my students, they took my answer. But my focus is on how to improve UB's research framework, and I've identified 6 major key pillars as supported by research, keeping the spirit of research going, used for improving, and not only improving, but also sustaining our research framework. And of course, the first one, which I consider to be most important, is of course to enhance funding, which was already spoken about already. And of course, this is done through grants, through sponsorships, through partnerships. Secondly, we must foster interdisciplinary collaboration. So not only among different academic departments, but also across institutions. We have to make use of the diverse expertise at our disposal in order to promote high-quality research and to engage in comprehensive research projects. Thirdly, we must develop research infrastructure. I think I almost ticked this one off my list based on what was said earlier today. Sounds like some things are coming, but we definitely need to make an investment in state-of-the-art facilities, laboratories, and technology. Okay, we can't have groups of researchers working on a particular project and we have to fight over who gets the SPSS or who gets the NVivo. We need to make sure that there's sufficient licenses for everyone to be productive. So just as faculty needs tools in the classrooms to be effective in their teaching, researchers also need tools to be effective as well. And fourthly, we need to strengthen research training and development. At this point, I must give kudos to the Research Edge team. Yay. For involving us in research and exposing our faculty, allowing them to present research. But we need to not only focus on faculty, but our students as well. We need to engage in the current methodologies in research, best research practices. We have a lot of master's programs on stream, and I'm sure eventually we'll be offering doctoral programs. So we all need to remain current and get that little refresher in terms of best research practices. Fifth, we need to establish clear research priorities. We shouldn't just be saying, oh, we're conducting research just to say we're busy. You know, those of us who are in the system, we gave our students busy work. No, of course, it makes our CVs look remarkable, but we need to be focused. We need to be intentional about what we are researching. We need to identify and focus on key research areas that align with not only local and regional, but also international needs. So we have to keep in the forefront of our minds what's our purpose for conducting research, and that should be to solve pressing global and local issues. And finally, we must promote research dissemination and impact. And this speaks to publications in reputable scholarly journals. And we are on our way with the International Journal of Bahamian Studies. Y'all still sleeping, eh? Wow, okay. But apart from publications, also, we need to share our research. We need to present our findings at conferences. Okay, so not just locally, but internationally. Of course, this goes back to the first pillar, which speaks to the need for funding. Because as we all know, those who have engaged in research, it's not a cheap venture. And so we really do need that financial assistance. Thank you.
Hello? Hello? Okay, great. I'm here because my name is Raymond Onbring. I'm the managing editor of the International Journal of Bahamian Studies. I've been the managing editor for 5 years now. My associate editor is Virginia Balance, who I'm sure most of you know, who ran the journal for a long time and made it mostly what it is. So we are UB's academic journal. We are releasing our 30th volume, yes, this October. Hasn't been every year that we've published, but we've published consistently for at least the past 15, 20 years, right? Yes, something like that. Right, so we're a multidisciplinary journal, interdisciplinary journal. We'll publish on just about any topic as long as it relates to the Bahamas. It's mostly UB faculty, but we get some international faculty involved as well. I can personally say that when I first moved to the Bahamas, and I'm an English professor, and I was really fascinated by this sociolinguistic culture of the Bahamas, and I had a background in linguistics, but no specific knowledge of the Bahamian language. I first got my foot in the water dipped my toe in the water in the International Journal of Bahamian Studies, and then I was able to move on to more, quote, international prestigious journals. But I mean, we definitely like to see it as kind of a welcoming journal. Our goal is to, yes, it goes through a rigorous peer review process, either by someone on island or an international expert, but our goal is not to reject manuscripts. We really want to nurture every manuscript to publication if possible. Yes, and please send us your manuscripts. Thank you so much. Oh, we're on the UB main. There's a link on the UB main page under research, and then you click on International Journal of Bahamian Studies. And yes, it should be end of October in Open Access Week when we release our next issue, so next volume. So be on the lookout for that. And send me your manuscripts.
Testing. Thank you so much, panelists. We give them another round of applause, please. Thank you. So we will take 2 pressing questions from the audience. Pressing. I do have a question, and then maybe we can take another one. So my first question, I guess if any of you on the panel can answer this question. My question is, what advice would you give a novice researcher here at UB? Like one key nugget.
Okay, one key nugget. Find a mentor. I think that's important. I really didn't get into research until I actually found a mentor. And so you want to align with someone who not only can mentor you in research, but also has similar research interests.
It's pretty good.
Submit your manuscripts to the journal. First.
Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself, because sometimes you have to do that to fit in with the infrastructure and the tools that we have available for ourselves.
Yeah, when I first came here, I wrote something very similar to my topic that I have done in PhD, and then I realized that I'm never going to get that. So I totally changed my topic and tried to see which is relevant to the Bahamas. And then once I wrote the proposal, I got that from UB, a research grant. And I remember that the grant I got was almost $12,000 at that time in 2016. So, yeah, and I was encouraged by, I definitely should mention some of the names, encouraged by Dr. Watson, Dr. McNamara, at that time, the chair of our school, which is Dr. Oriaki. Okay.
Thank you. I can't see.
Luddite. I just want to make a couple points in terms of dissemination and impact of your papers. make sure you do exploit social media. And Dr. Kabir, you forgot to mention an ORCID ID, because that will link together all your your publications, and also ResearchGate and Google Scholar. None of you mentioned in terms of infrastructure and research the role that the university libraries play in ensuring that it has a robust enough budget to ensure that we subscribe to the journals and resources that you need. Okay? Because that is an ever eroding problem. It's an easy thing for administration to cut. It's a sitting duck. Oh, you don't need new books this year, you got some last year. Oh, you don't, oh, we have to renew this subscription. If we do not renew subscriptions, we lose access to those titles the next year when it does get renewed. So that's just something to bear in mind. We need consistent support for the library, and to for the libraries also to continue to support scholarly communication in every which way. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ballance. Thank you. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, then we will say thank you and goodbye. Have a wonderful semester.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. Swan. Sorry. With respect to time and the desire to engage faculty at a meaningful level on collaborative ventures towards national development, our next plenary panel would like to defer the roundtable discussion to a later date to the Research Edge Forum that will be held during the semester. Yeah, like you're all disappointed, right? So that brings us to our final plenary for the afternoon, and just give me a second to pull it up. I would like to invite, let's see, there we go. Okay, so this is right here. Okay, so roundtable discussion, how to utilize the official learning management system. And this is going to be moderated by Dr. Anastasia Brown. Okay, come on up, my dear. And I will let you introduce your panel of presenters.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with you today as we dive into two of the most exciting and transformative topics in education: how to utilize the official learning management system, that is Moodle, of the University of the Bahamas, and generative AI and its impact on the classroom. These are not just tools and concepts. They are game changers in engaging with our students and delivering education. Moodle has revolutionized how we organize, manage, and access learning materials, making education more flexible and accessible. But that's not all. Moodle also offers powerful features to help us detect and prevent cheating, ensuring that the integrity of our assessments and the value of our academic programs. Meanwhile, generative AI is pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the classroom, offering new ways to inspire creativity, personalized learning, and enhance student engagement. However, it also presents challenges, especially regarding maintaining academic honesty. We'll be discussing how to harness, AI's potential and address its implication, including strategies for detecting and preventing AI-assisted cheating. As your moderator, I can't wait to guide us through this discussion, where we'll explore how to leverage these technologies to create more dynamic, effective, and secure learning environments. Our panelists are ready to share their insights, and I'm sure you're just as eager to hear from them as I am. Let's get started. Dan Barkey, Dr. Patsy Wilson, and Dr. Saskia. First. Oh, Dr. Bethel. Oh, hi. I was looking for you. Hi, Dr. Bethel. Who's starting first? Dr. Bethel. You all have mics? I need to pass it down. Okay. Y'all separating the men from the women?
Test.
Thank you. You have a mic?
Good afternoon, everyone. In the interest of time, I'm going to go through my part of the presentation as quickly as possible, addressing directly the topic at hand, how we use our learning management tools to enhance learning, but in particular, to address the issue of generative AI. Now, this presentation is an interactive presentation, and we're going to want everyone to try and join in and participate. So using your internet-enabled device, phones, just lost the screen. Get out your internet-enabled devices. Oh, Lord, it locked. So the password is ELIJAH.
AI, remember that.
There you go. So using your phone, you could use the QR code to call it up. If you have a computer, go to menti.com and enter the code 7840-8135. I see 3 people have signed in and 5 people. Excellent, excellent. So, yep, make sure we get as many people on as we can. Anyone else? Perfect. So if at any time you want to join in and we've passed the screen, you can always use the code up at the top of the screen there. That will always be displayed, menti.com. So first question. What do you think of when you hear AI? And so this is an open response. We just want to get some feel for what you know about AI. Okay, plagiarism. Boy, first stuff. Cheating, oh my goodness gracious. Innovation, some positive stuff. Artificial algorithm, not real. Okay, artificial intelligence. Laziness, who said laziness? My Lord, that must have been Chris Justilian. Awesome. A lot of really powerful words. And by the way, at the end of the session, we can save these responses and we'll email them out to you so you can have a record of how the presentation went. Fantastic. Artificial intelligence, cheating is pretty big. Plagiarism is also pretty big, so people are obviously concerned about it. Okay, so we got 41 responses. I'm going to go on to the next one. How do you feel about generative AI? 1, AI will kill higher ed as we know it. 2, I'm not really worried about it. 3, what the heck is AI anyway? So it looks like we're about 50-50. Everyone seems to have some kind of idea of what AI is. So yeah, people generally are not so worried about it. That's good to know because as was mentioned in the earlier presentations, while it may disrupt what we're doing right now, there is an opportunity to enhance our learning. So let me just jump right on. So why are most people worried about AI? What I did is I just did this whole demo in a video. So I didn't have to worry about jumping back and forth to go through stuff. And I am going to just start this video. This is actually a demonstration of how students can use ChatGPT tool. All you need to do as a student is write your essay prompt in the text box below. And notice I put, write it in the voice of a B- student. So it's not going to do it perfect. And boom. An exercise that should have taken our students a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, it can produce in a matter of seconds. I think this actually took about 37 seconds to generate 500-word essay. And I also chose a topic close to the Bahamas, comparing Junkanoo and Carnival. When it's done, all you need to do is hit the copy-paste button, copy your text, go to your word processing file, paste it in. Good to go. So how can we address this? Obviously, particularly given the way that we can control, these are the different internet things that I look at. The way that we can control how ChatGPT generates the response, it's going to be very difficult for us as teachers to really detect AI. So what we want to do now is we're going to use a new Turnitin feature that is a plagiarism checker. Oh. Are you guys doing anything about AI in classes right now? Go ahead and let me know. Anything less than 200 characters, so it's just like X. Is anyone doing anything about AI in class now? If not, we can just go on. And nada, no, nothing. Someone's using Turnitin, excellent. Nothing to them. Adapting teaching style, excellent. Embracing it. Yes. Cheering. So what I'm going to show you really quickly is how you can use Turnitin to help you detect AI. And again, I'm going to go straight to a video showing how I've done it in one of my classes. And what I've done is I built a Turnitin assignment just as before, and the essay that they are to turn in this case was to write a 350-word essay on the celebrations, 10th July, 1973, Independence Morning. 2 of my students have turned in work. And you'll see that for one of them, it has the normal similarity check. 18% they probably copied off the web. But you'll notice the second user, test user, 0%. That student's obviously doing something great. If I go to the first student and check the similarity check, it's what you're familiar with. It shows you the areas of the essay that they seem to match somewhere else on the web. But if you notice down here, this blue box, it says AI, that has a 0 next to it, indicating that there's no issues with AI in that particular student's work. When I go back to the second student, however, and click on their similarity check, it's going to take me to the same page. Again, no similarity problems, but down in AI, 100%. Because I just copied this straight from ChatGPT, and if I click the AI button, it'll take me to the AI evaluation, and you'll see that anything highlighted in aqua, they have identified as probably AI created. Now, be careful, and notice down here they have a disclaimer saying this is only meant to be a guidance tool for faculty. ChatGPT, Turnitin AI Checker can make mistakes. We're going to be talking about this in a little bit in the next presentation. Okay, perfect. Good, so next slide. I know that all of you are dying to learn more about this, so please attend us for the Turnitin and Moodle training next week. Thursday, August the 22nd. They say 1 to 3:30, but it's 1 to 2:30. Registration link will be sent out to everybody. Thank you very much. the next slides are right in the presentation. You could just tell me.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, who one are you? No, this is for you.
Oh, okay.
I
Sorry,
don't
this is
use
for me
Moodle
too.
or Turnitin in my classes. I use
Okay, can you guys perhaps tick one of the boxes? I don't use Moodle or Turnitin in my classes. I use Moodle but not Turnitin. I use Turnitin but not Moodle, or I use both, just so we can get an idea. And you can see already how many of your colleagues are actively using our LMS as well as the plagiarism scan Turnitin. Okay. So quite a few people are using Moodle, and quite a few are using Moodle and Turnitin, looks like. Excellent. Okay. So, nope, that's not me. It's Patsy's. Never mind.
Okay, good afternoon. I have a little joke for you. And it goes as follows. Why did AI go to art school? Because it wanted to learn how to draw better conclusions. Good afternoon again. What is AI? When we look at this terminology, this here, my colleagues, this was generated by AI, not by Dr. Patsy Wilson. So I read as follows. So I decided just to do that so you can see the power of the tool that it can write things for you. So this is a definition by AI. It refers to the theory and development of computer systems that performs tasks typically requiring human intelligence. AI is increasingly integrated into our daily lives, from chatbots to facial recognition. AI has a potential to revolutionize life. AI systems are becoming more sophisticated and capable of handling complex tasks. So I go a little bit further, and in my research, these are the various common tools that can detect plagiarism and in the academic environment. And as you can see, these are the various tools outlined. Some of them you might be familiar with, and some of them you might not be familiar with. And we know the famous one here at the University of the Bahamas is Turnitin. And as you can see, the AI is detected plagiarism, and it's not free. It's always a charge. So even when we look at these things here, there is a charge. So I'll talk to you briefly about Grammarly, if some of you may be familiar with Grammarly. And Grammarly, there's no detection of AI, but there's a detection of plagiarism, and it's not free. So this is a sample. I copied something from off Google search, it's called, and pasted it in there. And as you can see, this is what I use. And then I decided to the bottom, I asked for, you can see there's various tools of the errors and so forth, which you could correct. Next slide, please. And then, before you go in, you can also set how you want it to be done. You want it, for example, the first screen for selection, if you want it in academic mode, what type of writing you want to go into and do that. So the second side will indicate what I selected was academic, an essay format, an APA format. We have various different types of styles we want, whether MLA or APA, but APA is a normal, common, standardized across university campuses. Next slide, please. And so, as you can see at the bottom, 4% was detected of plagiarism in this particular era, slide here. Additionally, you can see it embedded in blue. And then also, too, it provides where the source came from. I can copy and paste that information and also provide the APA format for this work if utilizing it. Next slide, please. And so what I did is that I could enhance that. I had some errors of plagiarism. And I said, guess what? I can use Grammarly to improve what I had. So I put that information in there, and as you can see, I improved it, and this is how it comes out. And I can copy this and paste it into Word, and voila, it would clear up the plagiarism or whatever it is there. I think that concludes my slide right there. That's it for me, Dr. Bell. That's it. Thank you. Short and sweet.
one more participation question. Indicate whether you agree, disagree, strongly disagree with these statements. Faculty must find ways to discourage and deter AI use. AI is already in widespread use. AI has a legitimate place in learning environments when used appropriately. So just pull the slider along. Everyone's kind of in the middle. it looks like we did learn some of the lessons this morning, that there are legitimate ways that it can be used, and that leads us very neatly into the next presentation. Dr. First. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to turn us back to Turnitin and our AI detection tool. So we had this wonderful presentation earlier this morning advocating for the ways in which AI can and should be used in the classroom, and also for us as faculty members, perhaps in prepping. What I do want to remind us of, though, as we move forward, in the cases and areas when we don't want our students using AI or we don't want to work with it, that our Turnitin AI detection tool is sadly not reliable. So they themselves at Turnitin claim that their software incorrectly identifies 4% of written text as AI generated. So this means they're identifying false positives, right? So you might get a 50% score, right, with which Dr. Bethel showed us, or even 100%. And if your student says to you, oh, but Dr. First, I didn't use AI, indeed, that could be correct, right? The other thing that's a little bit discouraging and disheartening is that there are tools out there like AI Humanizer, right, that are designed to thwart Turnitin's AI detector. And some of the cases have shown that, indeed, when students use this, Turnitin does not detect it at all. So it'll get a 0% AI reading. So that means that as much as we have these tools, or this tool to help us, we can't rely on it alone. Next slide, please. So particularly in the English department, and if you're doing written tasks and assignments, there are some ways in which you can perhaps detect when your students are using AI. So to keep in mind as you are looking through their work, right? Are they using false information, incorrect information, generalized comments, vague wording? Repetition of similar ideas is quite common in AI text, particularly lacking in-text citations, and we're talking here page references. Sometimes in their citation list, their works cited, there'll be a lot of scholarly journals or websites listed, sometimes also incorrect ones there, right? So you'll recognize the author but not the book, or you'll click the link and it'll say broken link. Perfect grammar, right? So these are just some of the indications. Of course, these are some of the mistakes that our students make anyhow. But these are just some of the things to keep in mind, that if you see this while you're reading their work, right, it might be worthwhile to ask the students or double check whether or not this is indeed their work. Okay, I'm gonna run out of time. And there are many sources out there to help you with some more cues and ways to detect AI without using the tools. Move on to the next slide. I'm also going to encourage you, and we have discussed this in our School of English, ways to make it perhaps easier for us to detect whether students are using AI, and this revolves around how you design your tasks and whether or not you allow them to do tasks outside of class or inside class, right? So of course the easiest thing is to have in-class exercises, and particularly to do these at the start of the semester, so you have a comparison, right, of the work that they're doing and how they write to anything that they might produce for you outside of class. As guided as possible, asking them to work with particular text that you have provided in your class or your slides or subsections of text, right? So far, it seems like AI is a little bit trickier with this, or to do this, and asking for specific direct quotes from specific sections. And of course, working with topics and areas that you are quite familiar with, right? So you can detect when they are using incorrect or false sources or material. So the other thing that I want to mention is that, of course, we can design tasks that incorporate AI into the work, right? So I'm not saying we won't engage in this, and I hope that we will have some workshops and discussions, or that you might do this at the level of your department or your school, right? To see how your colleagues are using this and how this can be useful, generating ideas, right? To take away the fear of writing, perhaps, right? Getting topic sentences, things like this. But if you do use it, you need to really set clear guidelines for your students, how much, right? How to cite or encourage them to cite, right? There are guidelines for this. I advocate clear, detailed grading rubrics, right? Also for you too, right? So then you can penalize students for not fulfilling these rubrics, even if you can't always prove that it's AI generated. I'd like to remind you all that at the moment we don't have a policy on how to go about dealing with AI-generated work. So in our plagiarism policy, there's a section on ghostwriting. It's about the closest that we get to it, but we should be getting one soon, so I'm sure we'll discuss that. And be cautious, please be cautious to assign automatic zeros or to decide on your grading using the Turnitin tool alone, right? Because it is not reliable, it is fallible, and we don't really want to scare our students too much into thinking that we don't believe them when they say they aren't using it, and there are ways then hopefully that you can test that or check that or have them do work in front of you, et cetera, should these pop up. That's the end of my section. Over to Dean Barkey.
Quick, just to follow up from Dr. First, what would you do if you suspect a student of AI-generated work? And I hope that zero response. Oh my good grief. Automatic F. Zero. Cut him. Praise the Lord, we have one person who is empathetic enough to speak to the student first and ask them about the assignment. Gorgeous zero. Question them and give them a zero. F. Fail. With explanation. Wow. Heartless. Dean Barkey is going to touch on some of the more productive uses of AI in the classroom.
All right, first we need the entryway sealed and hope no students are here. And remember, what happens in the pack stays in the pack, all right? So I'm going to talk about how AI can actually make your teaching more effective. And I'm not an expert on this or anything, so I just did a little research. I have used one myself, though, DaVinci, and I thought, first of all, I know that a lot of faculty struggle with making their PowerPoints visually interesting. You know, let's admit it. It's easier to just put text in or grab the template that's in PowerPoint. So one of the cool things you can do is use an app called DaVinci. It's free. You get 3 things per day. If you pay, and you can get 50 a day, 50 like entries. So I put one in. Oh, sorry. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Blue Flamingo playing a piano. Let's say I'm doing some kind of presentation on musical notes or something. I want to have a little illustration in the background. It takes a long time to, say, go through a photo stock agency and find that right photo that's perfect. And often you can't find the photo that maybe fits exactly what you want. So by using these generators, these image generators like DaVinci, you can customize exactly what you want. So I did a few just to show you kind of what it could look like. Go to the next slide. So here's the best one that came. They give you 3 options. Photoshop has one of these 2 built in, but this is one you could just use without having Photoshop. Go to the next slide, please. Here's just a futuristic building, just imagining, again, an illustration, a background for my lecture that I'm presenting. Go ahead. A cell splitting in 2, and so you'll get some you can actually choose a whole different styles from like impressionism to drawing to surreal. So you can actually choose a whole bunch of different styles of art that your idea will be, in fact, created. Just to show a little bit how this works, AI doesn't actually draw these things. Basically, the machine has been scraping the internet, finding images, and so what it does is kind of reassembles parts of images into one cohesive image. That's how it works. So if you're a photographer and you have stuff on the internet, you may have some things out in the AI machine already. Another way you can use it as a teacher, especially if you're teaching an art class, and often it's hard to show a bad example, right? Because you'd have to go make one, or you don't want to maybe pull a student out of the crowd and say, this photo is a particularly bad example of how not to compose a photograph. So instead, you could ask DaVinci to show examples of bad photographs. These are all poorly composed because the subject in the middle. The one kid has a pole growing out of his head, and it's got typical stuff. So it allows you to grab an example without hurting anyone's feelings. All right, go to the next one. So then I looked also at a couple ways that you could use AI to help you as a teacher, to save you time. And there's 5 basic techniques. I found these in an article by Ethan Mollick and Lilac Mollick called Using AI to Implement Effective Teaching Strategies in the Classroom, 5 strategies. And they're using Bing and ChatGPT. But one thing they found they can do is that AI can generate numerous examples for students. So it might take you a long time to go find those examples. So you can enter into the, in this case they use Bing, or they also use ChatGPT, but they ask, for example, I would like the examples of opportunity cost for high school students. So they set a level and they set a theme. And so, go ahead to the next screen. I'm sure you guys can't read that, but I'll read it for you. So the AI generates spit back. If you spend $50 on a pair of shoes, you cannot spend that money on something else. The opportunity cost is what you could have bought with the $50 instead of shoes. If you choose to volunteer for a nonprofit instead of working as a financial advisor, you give up the income you could have earned. The opportunity cost is the money you would have made working. And then also they asked, that's good, could you give me some examples using popular movies to make it even more relevant? So one return was, in The Matrix, Neo chooses to take the red pill and learn the truth about his reality. The opportunity cost is staying in the simulated world of The Matrix and living a comfortable life. So, and this happened in seconds, right? So they were able to get for you, the teacher, to use, to choose from, to edit information that may have taken you a while to sort of figure out or research. AI can also be used to provide multiple explanations. Go ahead to the next. Oh, thank you. Provide multiple explanations. And so in this case, to illustrate something like photosynthesis, you may want to have explanations at different levels or different kinds of examples of how photosynthesis can happen. Again, you could create that yourself. You go find it yourself by research, but also AI will give it back to you. So then you can choose from the examples that it provides. Go to the next one. AI can be used to develop low-stakes tests. So one of the things that you might want to know is just, are you following along with the lecture? You know, this is not graded test, it's low stakes. So you're trying to figure out, at the end of the day, end of the class session, I need a few quiz questions to throw out there to find out if students have learned what I've been talking about. And so you can put a question into the chat about that. I want a quiz on the history of the United States for high school students. And so the chat generator, or being generated, who was the first president of the United States? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or Thomas Jefferson, or John Adams? And so it kicked out 5 questions that you could use. Okay. And then you can go a little deeper and, again, use it to develop those questions based on the content of your material. So you can feed in your content and have it kick back relevant questions. And lastly, it can help students practice important ideas. So they can basically get in conversation or a dialogue with AI to try out ideas and get AI feedback on their idea. Anyway, that's for me. I think those are a couple of good options for teachers to use. Don't tell anybody about it. But I think it actually can save you time. I think you do have to brought up the disclaimer of check what it's actually telling you. Because you need to make sure, you need to verify it for facts and consistency. But it can help you get started, you know, sort of break the ice to get going on a topic. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you. Are there any questions for our panelists? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Girth Ford School of Math, Physics, and Technology. Good to be back. Interesting presentation, more interesting responses. Some of you know that I've been here for a little while, but for the past 2 years, I did a consultancy at the LPIA. And I want you to understand that there are 9 jet bridge gates and 29 ground load gates, and every last one of them is scheduled via AI. AI is currently being used quite heavily, particularly here in the Bahamas, okay? And so if we sit here with our heads in the sand like an ostrich, you're going to be offering an education that is out of touch with what's going on. Some of you also know that I am a big Junkanoo guy. For the past 2 years, if you take a good look at the winning best costumes, put those themes into AI,
Correct.
they will very strangely resemble what comes up in AI. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Any other questions for our panelists?
Yeah,
There's one here.
There are quite a few. So the first
Yeah.
one is Menti.com. Is Menti.com a free resource? Just like everything, there's a free tier, but for any of the really nice things, you got to pay. It's cheap though.
How cheap?
Listen.
How cheap?
Anything you see me using is either cheap or free. Next question.
Is there a price for UB for the entire university?
That's an excellent question. In fact, what I'll do, we're looking at a variety of different softwares that we want to try and purchase educational licenses for. I'll make a note of that and add that to the list. Is Bernice in here still? Okay, second one. Other than DaVinci, what other tools do you use? I use ChatGPT quite a bit. And to follow up on what Girth was saying, don't think that ChatGPT is just for writing. You can, in the old days, you had to use Wolfram Alpha and pay a fee to get any kind of mathematical explanations out of an online tool. You could do that right in ChatGPT. Any kind of programming that I need to check, ChatGPT. Sometimes I get it even to write code for me. So there's a whole wide variety of uses in ChatGPT. And if you were here earlier, you would have noted that Mr. Justilian said one of his students was actually using a music-specific AI tool that will generate music for spoken words that you give it. So there are a variety of tools that are in use. We're looking to have a PD, a professional development exercise, on some of the AI tools you can use in the classroom.
Dr. Beth, I wanted to mention for images.
Yes.
Also, there's Photoshop, and both Lightroom and Photoshop have all built in now AI image generator, and so it will do some extreme things like generate a background for an image. But I found it very useful actually for even repairing images. So if you need to retouch something, it'll basically look at all the surrounding areas and then match it for what you want to retouch. It'll take an area that doesn't look good, you can put something else in it. So it's already built into the regular software you buy. So once you buy the software, the AI piece is already there.
So the answer to this one is yes. We will be putting the schedule of all of the training, including the training next week, Turnitin and Moodle, Thursday at 1. Make sure to sign up, but we will be sending out flyers about that. Do faculty have free access to Turnitin? It's not free, but the university pays for it for you. So yes. And, pardon? The students can't see? No, the students cannot see the AI score. No. And I think that's actually intentional on behalf of Turnitin, because they are saying that they're trying to emphasize that this is meant to be a guide, not a hard and fast rule like the similarity checker.
Dr. Bethel,
Go
I'll
ahead.
interject on there. I came from the National College Testing Association conference, and one of the guys who was the presenters on AI, he said one of his works he did about 10 years ago came as an AI. So yes,
Wow.
we have to be very, very careful and how we...
Be sure to use it only as a guide.
Correct.
With AI so prevalent, how can we truly trust research that is done? How do we know that the research was actually conducted? That's a good question. One of the points that Dr. First made is key. ChatGPT and these other tools will oftentimes actually just make stuff up. It's
Correct.
part of their algorithm to get the things produced more quickly. So I know that it takes time, but if you go through and actually check back, particularly at the references, that's a good way to check to make sure that the thing is...
And you can ask them questions actually about your research. You
Yes.
have to ask them questions. I know because we are aware that you have persons who actually write dissertations and research papers for persons. So I
Yes.
know with Dr. Wilson and myself, we actually had to talk about our actual
Yeah.
research from the front to the back to make sure that we actually did it ourselves.
I'm going to let Dr. First answer this one because I think this is in line with your presentation.
So it's really important in your syllabus, of course, right, to outline what your policies are going to be in your class for AI use. If you're using Moodle, right, you can reiterate that in the descriptions for the assignment boxes, also in your grading rubrics if you provide grading rubrics. And you can talk about it, of course, in class, right? And design either activities to, I mean,
Let them
I'm
know you know
not
about
quite
it.
there yet.
Yeah, let
right?
them know
So
you
hold on,
know
let me just
about
say
it.
this. Like, there is some resistance to this, right? But there are examples of ways in which, so for example, in English, right, I can pull up text and we can discuss, right, what AI has generated, why it's strong or why it's weak, right? We can use that as learning tools, right? I can say, okay, AI is going to generate a thesis for you, right? Now fix it, right? What is good about it? What is bad? What would you expect then to come, right? So there are ways that we can actively use these examples to start to foster critical thinking skills around AI, right? That is, I think, at the core of what we're really worried about. But I understand if you're hesitant, right? And so again, I hope that we will have some workshops and have some discussions, right, about how to go about this. But the best that you can do is tell your students what you're expecting or not expecting and write it down.
Yeah, just to add to that, Dr. First, for me in my classroom, from the first day one, students, they are aware of that. So I let them know when they turn anything. I've seen in the past what have happened. So I let them know up front that when you turn in your work, you can't see what I could see. So be very careful, and when you're using X, Y, and Z, double check your work. If you're using a source, cite it properly. So I let them know up front from day one. So when they submit something to me, I also have a sample on my course online, showing them a sample of what I've seen before, so they are aware from day one. So I make that very clear to the students so they know. And the students say they're aware of it. So let them know from the day one what to expect in the classroom when they submit their handwork. I don't accept nothing via paper, nothing. Moodle and Turnitin is my friend. I tell the students from the day one, that's my friend. I love that software. I love it.
I just want to follow up on that same question and give a shout out to Dr. Owen Bring. I don't know, people in the School of English will probably be aware, but Dr. Owen Bring himself has been using AI as a teaching tool to help students produce thesis statements for their work. I don't know if your tool is still online. Oh boy. Okay, well, so anyway, I say that to say he would be a good person to talk to about how you can help to integrate AI into your class.
But that is a good point, because I think I was trying to make the point also about, as a tutor, that the AI can be like a
Yeah.
tutor. It's a way of practicing things.
Yes, yeah.
And refining things. So it gives you feedback, and the instructor's not doing it themselves.
Is it possible to configure ChatGPT to reveal its sources when responding to a given prompt? No. That's one of the real troublesome things about it. You don't know where the LLM has pulled the information from and compiled it together to create the answer. Other than Da Vinci, that's been asked. Minimum percentage before questioning students, that's really going to be at your discretion. And I would say, don't think of it as questioning students, but rather encouraging students to, I don't know, I don't want to say explain themselves, because again, that's kind of accusing them. Digging deeper, let's say that. Go ahead.
Sometimes just trying to find out why they feel they need to lean on this tool for assistance, right? That they've just run out of time, but sometimes there are real concerns about their feeling a lack of, or a feeling of inadequacy, right? And then so it's a good teaching moment, perhaps.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Do you recommend that we use AI and include in future course outlines? I think that's going to be a departmental and college matter, and that we can't really have one size fitting everyone. For me, heck yeah. But let your conscience be a guide. How many, just one, moderator, how many more questions?
Go ahead, it's up to them.
Does UB provide Turnitin or AI recognize? Yes. Yeah. Come to the workshop on Thursday. I'll send out the link. Regarding the 5 strategies that Dean Bakke mentioned, what were the strategies exactly? Was it how to craft the questions in Bing or ChatGPT? So I'll let Dean Bakke go ahead and answer that.
I mean, I'll just read them quickly. AI can generate numerous examples. So examples was one, that it can generate examples. AI can be used to provide multiple explanations. That was the second one. Third one, AI can be used to develop low-stakes tests. Fourth was use AI to assess student learning. And last one was AI can help distribute practice of important ideas. So the tutoring and practicing using AI like a person to talk with kind of thing. Yeah.
You can actually take your notes, put it in ChatGPT, and said create a multiple choice test or create a multiple choice true and false, fill in the blank, and short answer test. You could tell them the amount of questions you want and say with answers for you, and it will do it for you.
See, I think you have to think about how this can help you be a better teacher, because what it does is shift what you might spend your time on. So if you don't have to spend your time on crafting quizzes and you can actually save time and just edit them, then what can you use your time for? You know, what else can you use? Does it mean you meet more one-on-one with a student or something? I don't know, but I think that's up to you. But I think it does potentially liberate you to teach in different ways.
One last point, linking back to the question on research. Many of you who would have taught online would notice that in your classes, I've included an online course evaluation form that students fill out to rate how well did the forums go, lessons, whatever, did it help or hinder their learning. As a part of that survey, there is also 2 free response boxes. Now we have about 3,000 of those surveys that have been completed. And over the summer, I had a couple of students who were trying to clean and analyze this data. Of course, the text data was huge. So I said, this is purely a trial. We're not going to be publishing this. Instead of trying to go through in Vivo or some other qualitative software, take all of the text responses, copy paste them into ChatGPT, and ask for the 10 main points that come out of all of the text. And it was shockingly accurate. So I only say that to say, getting back to the question on how do you know the research was actually done. Not saying they did it, but it's possible.
Any more questions from the floor?
I just also want to say, any of the questions that were written down, what I will do before sending out the presentation to everyone, I'll try and go through, poll the panelists and actually write down answers to all of the questions so that there can be some additional resources for you when you get the presentation.
Thank you, thank you. Can you give our panelists a round of applause? And thank you for your time and attention to our wonderful panelists. Dr. Speaking it on you, Dr. Adley.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon again. We're just about there. Any of you feel as tired as I am? Or you guys could go for another marathon run? No? No? Oh, okay. Well, we're about to wrap up. You know, it's really amazing. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about me in high school and how with GCs, they told us that we could not use Let's give our committee a round of applause for the wonderful work that they did today. And I have some more gift certificates to give out, but we want to bring Dr. Gustave, who's going to give the vote of thanks. And then we're going to, for those who remain, we will ask some trivia. Okay. That's an idea, you know.
Good afternoon again, everyone. We have finally come to the end of our 50th faculty seminar, the end of the faculty and staff seminar 2024. The program was packed, and it was our hope that you enjoyed the presenters and our esteemed moderator, Dr. Richard Adley and Dr. Dion D. Hepburn, who did an amazing job. They kept us engaged, excited to be here. Please let us give them a round of applause again. We would like to extend our gratitude to Ms. Natasha Pyfrom for invoking the presence of the Almighty over this event, to Ms. Jenny Bethel for her beautiful singing of the national anthem, the chair of the Board of Trustees, President Hodder, Dr. Maria Woodside Oriaki, Dr. Nicolette Bethel, and Mr. Daniel Thompson for their remarks. We would like to extend our gratitude to the Honorable Mr. of Foreign Affairs, Frederick Mitchell, for his capturing essence of the former Prime Minister, the late Sir Lyndon Pending, vision for the College of the Bahamas, now the University of the Bahamas. We're indeed grateful for him taking time out of his busy schedule for giving us his presentation. Many thanks to Tamika McNairn, Director of Microsoft, for an excellent, informative presentation on generative AI. We are indeed grateful for her time and for traveling all the way here to the Bahamas to give this talk. We are grateful for all of the participants and the roundtable discussions that we were privileged to experience today. They were all very informative and much knowledge transfer occurred. We would be remiss if we did not thank our sponsors. We would like to thank Alive, Fusion, Leisure Tours and Travel, The Paint Place, Keitra Boutique, Beauty Central, Chef Ellie for this beautiful and delicious breakfast that he had for us today, Grays Out East for the lunch, OUR and the audio team, the CALM for setting up the Choices Restaurant for us to enjoy lunch, the committee members for organizing this event, who worked tirelessly during our vacation to make sure that this can happen today. Especially Dean Moxie. She, I don't know, she has magic. She got all of us to come on our vacation to work with her. Lightborn Trading and Switcher for their donation. We have an important announcement. So we have goodie bags for faculty. These bags will be available next week, and they can be collected from the office of the provost. An email will be sent to all of you, and they will be issued on a first come, first served basis. So you know what that means, right? So have a wonderful academic year and all the best wishes in 2024, 2025. Many thanks to you all, especially those of us that have been here from 9 a.m. and are still here at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Based on what our speaker Shirley Pinder said earlier, I can only imagine going to pick up my bag and someone say, "Why didn't you come early? We just run out." Okay, here's a trivia question for you. This is a $100 travel voucher from Leisure Tours and Travel. Okay?